Hi, I'm Cynthia Schiller. Welcome to my live chat. So hopefully somebody will join. This is my third time trying it, and first one went perfectly. Second one was a little difficult, but we're going to talk about the fluidity of relationships and the connection that the narcissist does or does not have. So in the relationship with a narcissist, sometimes it gets confusing. And we thought that they loved us, and all of a sudden they disappear. What happens with that? And I've done some more thinking that, when you have a true connection, this is kind of like with our friendships. We're going to talk about our friendships, and we'll get into the other kinds of relationships. But our friendships, we enjoy time with them, so we're kind of focused on them. And if you've ever had, hey, let's have lunch, and then let's go, I don't know, to a craft show, and what do you think about this movie? And you're spending time with your friend, then something happens, and life kind of starts taking you down different paths. So maybe this person had to work late, so now you got to find another friend to hang out with, and it's in the friendship type way where you love your friend, but it's not that deep friendship. So I'm kind of talking about like acquaintance friendships, the beginning stages, that things happen. And when it's with a narcissist, it doesn't guide back. And they're too scattered on focusing on the people that really care about them, because they don't work around those obstacles. So in the beginning, it seems that they're spending a lot of time with us. They really like us, and we reach back out to them. Sometimes they're different in the way that they communicate, and sometimes we take it hard before it should be hard. But we usually will recognize that we're like, are you getting back to me? And if they would address it with real reasons, because we feel something is off, or it starts to, like, okay, like how many grandmothers die, and okay, how many times are you working after hours when you just told me? And we'll get little clues, like, you just told me your job's on a budget and no overtime. Now all of a sudden you're saying you have overtime, and we're getting confused. And it's the fluidity, the bumps and turns that take us apart from people. But when you really have a true connection, there are some friends that we have a true connection. Those usually last. There are times you can go separate ways. I had a really good friend that I've reconnected with. Life happens. Life does happen. That's why people who are meant to be in your life will find their way back. And sometimes you have to be patient for that. But with the narcissist, it's usually an established relationship, whether it's a parent child or a love relationship. And when it ends, you would think there'd be some sadness on both sides. And there's not. There might be um, sadness, but they shut it down. They might miss the person, and if their pride is too much, they're not going to reach out until their supply is super low, or the curiosity killed the cat. Like, whoa, I thought it was like the most amazing person. Like, what do you mean you're not reaching out to me? It's really different in the way their mind processes things. And I have seen a lot of this blocking, unblocking. I had a friend of mine, and it takes time to understand where people are in life, because we're not clinicians. I do have where I'm certified to teach psychology, but people go through traumas, and time doesn't heal all wounds. It heals some, and those are the people who are rebuilding. Those are the people who have some positivity to bring to a healthier relationship. But the narcissist is stuck in this mindset of entitlement. And I had my second one was like, yeah, everybody knows it's all about me. Like, he like said it. And that's where it's nice when they're honest. Like, those are the red flags that we need to pick up on. And we don't always see the red flags. If you really look at the whole gamut of your relationship, you will look back on the lack of trust you had with them. There's a reason our energy starts feeling off. So, where's this energy stuff? The energy starts changing and we start feeling it. Why does it change? Because let's say they're cheating and their energy, part of it's given to somebody else, and we can feel that. Sometimes their energy is given to something different. Like, I don't know, we don't want them doing poker games and maybe gambling a little bit, and they're hiding something. So they're drawn to, let's say, poker games, which is pulling them away. And they can reconnect with us by telling us about, hey, this is what I did today. They don't do the reconnect. So they don't do the reconnect. Like, yeah, I was with somebody else. It's a takeaway. It's a balance of the energy, and we feel it because they're not communicating with us, and we can feel it. We can see it sometimes in their face. Narcissists are really good at manipulating too, though, but we can feel that energy because, we come home and we're like, this is what I did today, or I can't believe it, I was at the gas station, this person started yelling at me. We bring back our day to them, and we can feel, for some reason, it's like we do have a sixth sense. There's times you can sense somebody standing over behind you, or you're laying down and all of a sudden you wake up and somebody's looking in your face. Where does that sense come from? And where do some of these senses? I teach a lot of different classes to children about different animals, and the sea turtles will come back. I believe it's 2 years later. I need my slides in front of me. I teach so many animals, but they come back to lay their eggs where they were born. So they're born, they're in these eggs, infants, teeny tiny, whatever you call baby turtles, turtlets, and they start scrambling to the ocean, and then they're gone for a long time until they come back up on the beach, and magnetically is how they explain it. Magnetically, they go back to where they were born. Where does that come from? There's some in here. There's some energy field. There's some energy field, and when we have vibrations with people, it's in tune with us, and we're drawn to that, and it makes us feel good because it's comfortable. They have sometimes, if we want to try to understand this, like, what are you talking about? I want to say it was in China where they had those vibrations, the warfare, where they were damaging people, their brains, their ears were ringing. It was all through sound frequency. So there's something to the vibrational field, the atmospheric pressure that we feel off, depending on the elevation, like all these different things. So why do narcissists act the way they do? Why do they? It's their comfort level. And we can go into all different things, but we usually return to what's comfortable to us. And the narcissist isn't comfortable without chaos or praise. They need attention, good or bad. And it gets confusing because they have enough supply. So it's an even bigger bonus when we're crawling to them. So when we wait so long to communicate with them, it's like they're treated like Prince or Princess Charming. to the extreme, like, oh my gosh, and yes, of course, and why don't we get together and do this, and I'll make this, and we're letting them know through our energy that they're super adored. And why do we adore them so much? It's the vibration that we feel and the memories. But the memories, it's sad, the memories, a lot of it was manipulation. And did they realize it? Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But if you go through all these self-aware channels, they straight up say, don't bother with us. We can't be healed. I see some of the ones that are on their journey. They still say it's been several years. One says he'll be in therapy for the rest of his life. But they're, they get a lot of supply right now. They're getting the adoration. Also, it's something to do to sit here in front of a camera. You're doing something. You're putting everything aside. You got laundry to do. I'll do a YouTube video. You got this to do, to think about things. People will adore me. They'll kind of like some stuff. But if that crashes, if they don't have their YouTube, those people still have their spouses. So their cup is full. So they're not in dire straits they can control how often they put these videos out. So as long as they're somewhat successful, and some are fantastically successful, but one who is self-aware was thinking about quitting because he was tapping into his emotions. You could see it. They don't like to tap into their emotions. They can be honest. They tell us, yes, I cheated. I had 4 or 5 people, this, that, these are the stories. Like, they remember. I met her at a gas station. She was a cashier, or he was whatever. They know the stories. So it's not like everything is blocked out. They do have a different mindset where they can forget things. They can understand things different. There can be differences in communication, but they don't like to listen to what we're saying. They hear certain things. Trying to think of an example where you could say something like, I don't know, I won $200,000 today and it sucks. I crashed my car, but I'm okay. And they're going to focus on the negative. They're going to be like, you fucking crashed your car. Do you know how much that's worth? Now it's going to cost us how much to replace it? You're like, I just said I won $200,000, whatever I said. And they focus on not you, if you're okay or not. They focus on, $10,000 to $50,000 car, as opposed to the $200,000, which definitely pays off the car. It's not about you. It's not about the benefit. It's about the loss. And they start having abandonment issues. And when they start feeling that, a lot of times they'll get rid of you before they fear you'll get rid of them. It's an insecurity. And the more, this is where it gets sad, the more we try to reinforce them, the weaker they see us as. And it's sad when people see kindness as weakness, but they're like, yeah, that person's a pushover. They don't say no. I break their boundaries, and it's a cycle, because it always starts out good, and it's just piece by piece you unravel who they really are. And usually it's during those times of stress. It's a very lonely place to be when you're with a narcissist, because you're there for them and you have half conversations with them. You start to feel them drifting off. Parents, our parents always at fault. There are narcissists created not by the parents. Could be the school system, could be bullying, overpraise from the gymnastics coach or whatever. narcissists aren't born, they're created. And there are certain mental illnesses that are genetic or genetically predisposed or through trauma, through whether when giving birth or an accident, things of those natures. But is it curable? There's no medications for it. The only medications they have are to deal with the comorbidities such as anxiety, depression, and a lot of times they try to self-medicate, whether they need that dopamine hit through sex or, their serotonin levels and trying to feel comfort in their brain. And we're uncomfortable because we've been through a post-traumatic stress, CPTSD, complex post-traumatic stress. It's weird that our brain has no nerve endings, but we know exactly where it is. It's really weird where we're like, I think you can feel. I don't know. Comment below if you can't, but I can feel my brain in a sense. I can feel my heart. Sometimes I don't feel it beating. I know it is. There's times you feel your heartbeat, but I'm talking like your heart. And I can almost point exactly where my aorta is because you got to be careful during the broken heart syndrome. I was in nursing school. I know I had to dissect hearts. The aorta, it's attached, and it's very large. But how large is it? I can't do it with my hand, but it's pretty large. That's where our major blood comes out, and it's connected, and that ruptures. That connection, that's a broken heart syndrome. And we have to be careful. Like I get scared. That's what you also feel anxiety that way too. And we're going through that. But it's a real thing that people can die from a broken heart. That's why it's so important for us to build ourselves back up, to love ourselves, to take time to grieve when we need to go through the 5 stages. Because it's some serious shit. A lot of times, if you stay and you don't see it getting better, it's only going to get harder to heal. It's just like if I cut you, and I got a note on my hand, sorry. Cut you and cut you and cut you and cut you. Eventually, you're going to bleed to death. One little cut, you can handle that. 2, 3, maybe stab me one time. But over the period of these relationships, there's so many cuts and stabs and jabs that it destroys you. You can only function to a certain capacity. We need certain parts of our body. We need certain parts of our brain. We need certain parts of our emotional health to function. That's why we start sleeping more. We're more depressed because we're trying to regain that energy. And we have to find it within ourselves, and that's where it gets so hard. And a lot of you too can relate to this. Children are wonderful. They're exhausting and draining, but they are wonderful. But when it's a grown person who doesn't communicate the right way, we have newborn babies. There's no expectation of that little sweetheart communicating. We know they're going to cry, and we got to figure it out. But there's times, if you think about it, like that's frustrating. Like, are they hungry? Are they wet? Did they poop? They have I'll check to see if they have an infection. Is there a hair tied around their toe? We're trying to figure it out. It's frustrating. Sometimes you go into that panic mode where, no, this is not right. Why is this kid so upset? They are crying till they're blue in their face. They cannot communicate. Just like Helen Keller in the beginning, she did not know how to communicate, deaf and blind. she was able to learn to communicate. The baby will eventually learn to communicate. The narcissist is an adult. There should be expectations. And I guess, with people who do have different kinds of mental illness, uh, disabilities, they might have a lessened function, but sometimes it makes sense. But it doesn't make sense when a grown person can say, yes, I'll call you, and they don't call you back. And even when you're like, you promise? Because last time you didn't. I want to make sure you're calling. Yes, I'll call you at 5. And then the next day you're like, you didn't call. I never said that. And they start making you crazy because you don't have any defenses. You can't say, look, we had this set up. I need you to respect my boundaries, because we'll be like, how did I break your boundaries? We didn't even have plans. They take away our defenses and we're left helpless. And that's where we start thinking so much. How do I communicate? Do I say it this way? Do I say it that way? Like, I've already said it this way. I tried that way. This way, that sounds too bitchy. And then we overlook that one when they need succinct, focused, fact-filled. But the narcissist needs those facts to match up to them. And they'll deny even when they're caught in a lie. And if they're, this is, there's times where, maybe we've been caught in a lie. And we're like, no, you're right. I did do that. Or please don't be mad. This is what I did. We have enough compassion and trust. And we also don't do the things, hopefully, that are the major triggers. Yeah, I forgot to change the laundry. It's a lot different than, yeah, I cheated. Yeah, I spent all my money on drugs, or I overspent at the grocery store. There's different things that the things we're coming forward with are usually not deal breakers. And the connection that we had was kind of at an acquaintance level where it's that fluidity, where it's like, it's great, we'll spend time together, or life happened, I got to spend time with my husband, or the kids have soccer practice now, I just signed them up for swim lessons, so I can't see you this summer. And it's not that committed. It's an understood friendship, but it's not committed. And I hope that makes sense. The narcissist doesn't take it to the deeper level. And sometimes we get confused because it seems like we're taking it to the next level because we got a ring on our finger, we're making bridal plans, wedding plans, and it's not what we were led to believe. We were reassured a lot of times. Comment below, how many times were you reassured or told that, we're just being paranoid? And one thing that makes it difficult is they talk about the projection. And there are times when we're like, are you cheating? And we definitely are not. Some of us do. Don't do it, but some of us do. We're not perfect, and neither is a narcissist, but I don't know. There's times that we ask, are you cheating? And is that that's not projection in that aspect. That's just us like legitimately like 2 + 2 is 4. What's going on? But the narcissist can turn it around and say it. So it gets tricky because all the advice out there is, they talk about the projection. The person saying it is probably the one who has something to hide. It's not always like that. So how do we know what's real? because we want to understand our person. Does our person want to understand us? And when they start getting irritated by us, or oh, I think somebody just came. I should say hi to you guys. Make sure. Hello. Um, it's good to evaluate the situation as a whole, because sometimes if we're ruminating about them, why, what is it that we like about them? And I see you. Good to see you. Nice to have you join us. This is my second live today. So I think I finally figured it out. And if there's anything you want to talk about, feel free to let me know. I was talking about the different fluidities in the relationship, the way that the narcissist can just come and go. It's due to that lack of connection. And their brain is different. I did a video on how they think in reverse. It's a very interesting video. It gives you a different aspect. But the way that they're abusing us can sometimes be subtle. And I'd love if there's anything you want to talk about. I just want to know what your name is so I can say hi to you. Aw, I scared you away. Sometimes I just need to be quiet. And everybody's personality is different. That person was probably shy. And sometimes we don't know the person, how to handle certain things. And that's kind of where it is with the narcissist, is we've lived with them for a long time, but they didn't get to know us. They didn't connect with us. They didn't understand exactly what was going on. We have to decide if we're happier with them and to really look at what that means. Does it really mean that we're just going back to something comfortable or predictable? Because it's not comfortable. We're spending every day thinking, how do we make this better? Or how do I avoid certain things? Or do I even want to go home? Walking on eggshells, trying to control our emotions so we either don't yell at our kids, trying to get the energy to snap out of our depression. And it starts destroying our life. We're not as productive. We're not as friendly. We're not as peppy and excited about life. It's changing us. So as it's changing us into this depressed person, our vibe is off. We're going to attract the people with the lower vibes. So when we were who we were fairly happy when we went into this relationship. Also, if you were broken, though, just like the narcissist is broken, that's where the other person sometimes will lift you up. That it feels good to be lifted up. And sometimes people heal, and sometimes people suck the life out of you. And all the different things, all the different triggers. A lot of people have asked, how long is it going to last with the new supply? Well, I don't know the new supply. The triggers that person has, both parties are going to get triggered. And the narcissist will destroy it. And if the new supply has any issues, if you look at all the statistics, you can see the different aspects of the way divorces happen. You would think people would learn as time goes by. People during marriage is a high stress thing. Loss of job, loss of parent, moving. Those are high stress times. Also, right after the holidays. January is the highest time for people to file for divorce. It's a whole new year. So some of it we start thinking, like, is that legit? People wait till to have them on their taxes. They wait for the holidays. It could be because of the kids. Sometimes narcissists will leave you right before the holidays because they don't want to buy a gift. They don't want to go to your parents. So we start thinking, if I didn't ask them to go to my parents, we went to theirs, would it have been different? Maybe for a while. But They want what they want. And the more you listen to certain people, you see. Hopefully, as you become more aware of people through these YouTube videos and learning about personalities and the mental disorders and what makes a person healthy and how relationships fail or don't fail, what makes them strong. A lot of it's the way we communicate, not just communicating effectively in the way somebody needs to. And I hope I didn't scare my subscriber off or my viewer. Um, you know, I asked 2 or 3 times. I probably should have just said it once and let them just listen. Like I said, I get all excited that I love doing these live videos because I like to connect with you guys to help you in real time. So I'm going to try and do these. They are recordable, so I'll give some content. You guys can watch them. Feel free to comment below if there's certain topics that you guys want. But we have power. We forget the power that we have. We have the power to set boundaries. No means no, and we can stick to it. We've overlooked some stuff because of our compassion, because of our trying to understand. And would the same be done for us? It hurt people, and the narcissist starts hurting us. And then we react to it. And it infiltrates other relationships. We don't want that to happen. We don't want it to infiltrate the other relationships. We got to keep our circle of people, the ones that really care about us, the ones that are going to build us up and be there. And to not overwhelm our support system either, though. Too much pressure on a support system, especially if it's unstable, is going to destroy a very strong foundation anyways, if it's too much. So don't put too much on one friend. Keep it balanced. Have a couple friends helping you through this, and also focus on them, because sometimes too we start not realizing that we're starting to monopolize the conversation, where we're like, but what do you think about this? But he said this, and what do I do? And are you sure that's a good idea? But what if I did this? And they give us their ideas, and sometimes they feel brushed off. They're like, I told you what I felt, and you're not accepting what you can say, yeah, we need to validate them. We ask for some help. That's a great suggestion, or I appreciate that. But we tear it apart sometimes. We're like, what do you think? Like, no, he said, and they can only help us from what they see. They don't know the exact interactions. And if you were in a 10-year relationship, to give them every little detail, it's going to take 10 years. and that's too much on somebody else's life. So don't overwhelm your friends. Ask your friends for help, but appreciate the time that you have with them. And that's where it's important. Live every moment in its moment. We're still living in the past. I saw a thing today about a guy who gave up tarot reading because he was looking for answers to the future. And he started obsessing over it, in a sense, started to become anxious, depressed, because he said, I wasn't living in today. He was consumed and waiting for that time. He gave up, in a sense, his control of his life. But more importantly, he gave up his daily living in the day. And he realized it was changing him. So sometimes not knowing the future can be scary, but that's where it gives us what we can create. If I read some, if I did read some tarot cards right now, and I told you this is what's going to happen, you're going to start being trained to focus that way. And I just want to say hello. So it's going to change the way our thought process is, the way that we start moving forward in our lives. And that gives our control to something else. So realize what's important to you. They say, follow your dreams, because that's what you're going to regret later in life if you don't. I know my mother is extremely, extremely intelligent. She came over from the Netherlands at age 11, did not know any English, and graduated high school at 14 in America. So she did not know any English, learned it, and graduated within 3 years. She took her power. And she always wanted to be a doctor. And that was back in the day when, women, this and that, weren't really as encouraged as men. And so she became a teacher. And when she got pregnant, it wasn't acceptable for a teacher to be pregnant. So she quit her job, stayed home with the kids, and went back to nursing school. And that didn't seem to be exactly it. So she went to respiratory, and she graduated, 4-year degree. And then that was after the teaching. So she has her teaching degree, and then she went back for her BSN, got that, and then she went back for her respiratory therapy. And she always looked back like, I should have become a doctor. That's what she wanted. So whatever it is that you can achieve, go after it. Because looking back in life, our friends are what make us happy. Our connections with people, our family, hopefully, and who we are. We got to be happy with who we are. And the more we help other people, it does give you those feel-good hormones. But don't be used. It's okay to give. But when you start seeing them coming around or manipulating you into things, take that as a warning sign. Don't let people use you. It's okay to help people, but know your self-value, because to me, you're worth it. And there's a lot of YouTubers out. We just lost Angie Atkinson recently. She was a great YouTuber who had a lot of compassion. I talked about Jordan Peterson, who he is a speaker, and you just see the pain that he's absorbing from talking to other people. You see it in his eyes and the statements he's made. Sometimes it can hurt to help people because you see their pain too. So there's got to be a balance. Everything is okay in moderation. But pretty much even water can kill you if you drink too much of it. It becomes an addiction. I did a video where it does become an addiction. This person did an experiment where it was a gallon of water a day. And at first, there's some adjustment that you got to go run into the bathroom and things like that. And like not wanting to drink it, they drink it anyways. And then it starts being too much on their system. So it's draining out the salt, the electrolytes. It's an overload. So the healthy water, sparkling clean water, our body's 70 some percent water, becomes toxic to us. And then they start craving it. She started craving more water when it started damaging her. Just like our narcissists, we start craving them during the damaging times. So our body in that instance would crave water because it doesn't know what to do. We're off balance. We need something. And our body hasn't quite processed what exactly is it that we need. And that's kind of where we're at with our narcissists sometimes, is we're craving them because we didn't process what we need. We didn't process what we need. We just wanted that craving to go away. And it seemed like that was the best craving. The craving is for us to feel whole again. And we think it's the other person. And it's hard when you do love somebody, like, You want to be around them. You want to interact with them, communicate with them, connect with them. And that loss of connection is like a death. It is like a death. And we have to mourn the things that we lose. We go through all these times. Is it really over? If you look at, I don't know. So I know a lot of you guys are out there hurting, but it does definitely get better. It's going to be a weird transition. You're going to have some good days, some bad days, but you're going to start to I think I'm starting to feel it. And don't give up on that feeling, because it's going to feel pretty good. You're going to kind of feel like what is going on? But comment below if you're starting to feel that. And it just gets better from there. You just got to surround yourself with the right kind of people. And a lot of advice, information, and love. So I'm here to help you guys. Feel free to comment below if you have any questions or topics. I will be doing some more live streams so we can interact. And I'll see you soon. Have a good day.